The desert world of Talros was silent except for the wind. Endless sand stretched to the horizon, hiding ruins of a civilization that had fallen long before the first human ship crossed the stars. Most traders and settlers avoided this place. They said the ruins were cursed. They said voices whispered in the night, and machines buried deep under the ground still hummed with strange energy. But one human did not believe in curses. His name was Aaron. Aaron was not a soldier or a hero. He was a wanderer who took work where he could find it. Sometimes he guided caravans through dangerous passes. Sometimes he scouted abandoned mines for salvage. He had an old ship and a restless heart. For him, Talros was not a place of fear, but of mystery. And mystery was enough to keep him walking under the burning suns with only his scanner and his courage. On the 5th day of his search, Aaron found a valley of broken stone. Great towers lay fallen, half buried in the sand. Symbols of a forgotten language stretched across walls that still stood smooth as glass. His scanner flickered with readings stronger than any he had seen before. Beneath the ruins, deep underground, something pulsed with steady rhythm. Not energy from a reactor, not signals from a beacon. It was something more alive. He climbed down into the shadow of a collapsed arch and found a narrow passage leading under the ruins. The air was cooler there, carrying the faint scent of metal and dust. His boots echoed softly as he walked. For hours he explored winding corridors, all carved with symbols he could not read. At last he reached a door taller than any building on his homeworld. The door was not made of stone but of crystal, shimmering faintly in the light of his lamp. Aaron placed his hand against it. The surface was smooth and cold, yet under his touch he felt a vibration like a distant heartbeat. His scanner showed unstable energy but not dangerous radiation. For a long moment he stood still, debating with himself. Then he set his lamp on the floor and pushed with all his strength. To his surprise, the crystal moved. The door slid open without sound, as if waiting for him. Inside was a chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were covered with veins of glowing silver. In the center stood a figure, tall and silent, suspended above the ground. It was a woman, though not human. Her skin was pale with faint blue patterns across it. Her hair floated around her like strands of light. She was beautiful, but not in a way Aaron understood. Her body was pierced through the chest by 3 great blades, each one shimmering with faint energy. They pinned her in place, their hilts glowing as if alive. Aaron froze. He had heard stories of ancient guardians sealed in eternal prisons, but he never believed them. Yet here she was. She looked neither dead nor fully alive. Her eyes were closed, her face calm, but there was no decay. Her form seemed preserved by the same power that held her captive. Aaron felt his heart pound. He had discovered something no one else had seen in centuries. He walked around the chamber slowly, studying every detail. The walls carried more symbols, warnings carved in alien script. His scanner translated a few words: do not disturb, do not release, eternal guard. Aaron frowned. Was she a prisoner or a protector? Were the blades killing her or saving her? He stepped closer, reaching out a hand, but stopping just before touching the nearest blade. Energy crackled faintly around it. He expected heat or cold, but he felt instead a strange pull, as if the blade recognized him. His fingers trembled. A sudden thought came to him. Why was a human able to enter this chamber when no other species had claimed it? Many races had visited Talros over the centuries. The ruins were not hidden, yet this place remained untouched. It was as if the chamber itself had been waiting. Aaron whispered softly to himself. "Who are you?" Of course, there was no answer. The woman remained still, her chest rising only slightly as though a faint breath still lingered within her. The glow of the blades pulsed like living things, and with each pulse Aaron thought he saw her fingers twitch ever so slightly. The air in the chamber grew heavier. Aaron felt it pressing on him, not with force but with weight of meaning. He could leave now. He could report this to the nearest research outpost, and others would come. They would bring machines and weapons. They would tear apart the chamber, dissect the figure, and fight over what to do with her. That was the way of the galaxy. But another thought stirred in him. If she was a guardian, if she had once protected something important, maybe she deserved more than to be treated as an object. And if she was a prisoner, sealed away by enemies, then she had suffered for centuries without voice or choice. Aaron stood there for a long time. His lamp flickered. His heart pounded. At last he took a deep breath and reached forward. His hand closed around the hilt of one of the blades. The moment he touched it, light flared through the chamber. The walls glowed brighter, and the air vibrated with deep hum. The blade was cold at first, then warm, then burning. Aaron gritted his teeth, but he did not let go. Something inside him told him that he was meant to do this. With a sharp pull, the blade slid free. A shockwave rippled outward, knocking him to his knees. The glowing silver veins on the walls blazed like fire. The chamber shook as dust rained from the ceiling. Aaron clutched the blade in his hands. Its glow dimmed until it was only a faint shimmer like a dying star. He looked up and froze. The woman's chest rose in a deep, trembling breath. Her eyes flickered open, glowing faint blue. She looked down at Aaron, not with anger, but with something that seemed almost like sorrow. Her lips parted, and in a voice soft as a whisper of wind, she spoke a single word. Human. Aaron felt a chill race through him. She was alive. Not just alive, but aware of what he was. He took a step back, unsure if he had made a terrible mistake. Yet when her gaze followed him, he did not see hate. He saw recognition. The chamber settled, though the glow of the remaining 2 blades grew sharper, almost warning him. Aaron still held the first blade in his hand. It felt heavy, not in weight, but in meaning. He had changed something that had been locked for centuries. He whispered back, voice shaking. What are you? Her eyes closed again, as though the effort of speaking had drained her, but her chest continued to rise and fall now, steady and alive. She was not a statue. She was not a relic. She was a being returning to life. Aaron stood there, torn between fear and awe. He knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy would never forgive him if it learned what he had done. But another certainty was stronger in his heart. He had found something meant to be found. He had touched a secret that called not for fear, but for trust. The silence of the chamber stretched on, broken only by the sound of her faint breathing. Aaron remained, standing guard over the figure he had awakened. He did not know what would come next, but he knew the journey had only just begun. Aaron could not sleep that night. He remained inside the chamber, sitting on the cold floor, staring at the alien woman who now breathed slowly, as if waking from a long dream. The faint blue glow in her skin had not faded. The 2 remaining blades still pierced her chest, humming softly with restrained power. The first blade, now dull, lay beside Aaron. He could not bring himself to throw it away. It felt like it belonged to him, though he did not understand why. He studied her face in the shifting light. She looked calm, yet her calmness felt heavy, like the stillness before a storm. Aaron's thoughts kept circling. What if she was dangerous? What if the warnings carved into the walls were true? But another part of him felt certain that if she meant harm, she would have already destroyed him. He had pulled the blade, and yet she had only looked at him and spoken a single word. Human. The word echoed in his mind. How could she even know his kind? Humanity had not been among the ancient powers. Humans had come into the galactic stage only in recent centuries, while she had been sealed here for far longer. How did she know him? When the second dawn rose over Talros, a deep sound stirred the chamber. Aaron stood at once. The alien woman's eyes opened again. This time they stayed open. Her gaze moved slowly, taking in the chamber, the walls, and finally resting on Aaron. Her voice was weak but clear. You touched the seal. Aaron's throat felt dry, but he forced himself to answer. Yes, I pulled one of the blades. Her eyes lowered to the empty space in her chest where the first blade had been. The wound did not bleed. It shimmered faintly, light flowing through it as if her body was made of living crystal. She raised her hand, slow and trembling, and touched the scar. Her face showed pain, but not of the flesh. It was the pain of memory. You have changed the balance, she whispered. Aaron stepped closer, cautious. Who are you? She looked at him, her gaze deep and sharp. My name is Mira. I was once guardian of the gates. I fought when the sky burned. I stood when the stars trembled. And for that they sealed me. Aaron frowned. Who sealed you? And why? Her eyes closed for a moment. The Machine Kings, they feared what I was. They forged these blades from their own hearts. They thought if I was bound, their reign would last forever. But even Metal Kings fade. Only I remained, trapped between life and death. Her words sent a chill through Aaron. He had heard legends of ancient machine empires, cold and merciless, that once ruled vast reaches of the galaxy. Most said they were myths long destroyed, yet Mira spoke as one who had seen them with her own eyes. Aaron swallowed. And now? What happens if I free you completely? Her expression hardened. If the second blade is pulled, my strength will return. If the third is pulled, my essence will awaken fully. But hear me, human. Each seal is a beacon. When broken, it calls to the machines. They will know I rise again. They will come. The chamber seemed colder after her words. Aaron's hand brushed against the first blade lying beside him. He remembered the warnings carved into the walls. Do not release. Eternal guard, he asked quietly. Then maybe I should not have freed you at all. For the first time, Mira's expression softened. She looked at him not as a prisoner looks at a captor, but as a tired warrior looks at a companion. Yet you did. No other touched the seal in centuries. Only you. Do you wonder why? Aaron hesitated. He had wondered. The chamber had opened for him. The blade had yielded to his grip. Could it be true that the chamber had waited for a human? He asked, why me? Mira studied him for a long moment. Then she said, because your kind dares. Others fear. Others obey the words of the past. But humans walk where they are not wanted. They touch what others call forbidden. That is both your strength and your danger. Perhaps the stars chose you, or perhaps you simply chose yourself. Her words struck deep. Aaron felt pride and unease mixed together. He was no hero, no great leader. He was just a wanderer chasing mystery. Yet this ancient being spoke of humanity as if it carried something greater than ships or weapons. The chamber fell into silence again. Mira closed her eyes as if resting. Aaron sat down, trying to calm his racing thoughts. Hours passed. Then the ground above trembled faintly. Dust fell from the ceiling. Aaron looked up, alarmed. Mira's eyes snapped open. They come, Aaron asked quickly. Who? Her answer was quiet but filled with weight. The Seekers. The Scavengers. They must have felt the awakening. They will dig. They will fight. And they will kill to claim what they do not understand. Aaron clenched his fists. Word of his discovery must have spread faster than he thought. Perhaps his ship's scans had been intercepted. Perhaps traders on Talros had seen him enter the ruins. Whatever the cause, danger was on its way. He turned to Mira. What should I do? Her gaze locked on his. You must protect this place. I cannot yet fight. The blades hold me still, but if you keep me safe, I will tell you more. Together we will choose the path forward. Aaron felt the weight of the task settle on him. Protecting a chamber buried under ruins against scavengers and mercenaries was no small thing. Yet he nodded. I'll hold them off. Mira's voice softened, almost like a whisper of trust. Then you are my shield, human, and I am your truth. Aaron left the chamber and climbed back into the broken halls above. He set traps with what little gear he had, placed scanners at the entrances, and prepared his rifle. The suns dipped low as night fell. In the distance he saw ships landing on the sand, their engines stirring storms of dust. The scavengers had arrived. They came in groups, armed and greedy, their voices echoing across the ruins. They searched for power, for treasure, for anything to sell. Aaron watched them through his scope, waiting. His heart raced, but his hands were steady. He knew he was not only fighting for himself. He was fighting to protect Mira, to protect a secret older than any empire. When the first scavenger entered the passage, Aaron fired. The fight for the chamber had begun, and far below, Mira sat with her eyes closed, whispering words in a language older than time. Her voice carried through the crystal walls, and for the first time in centuries, the ruins of Talros stirred with the heartbeat of something awakening. The ruins of Talros echoed with the sound of battle. Aaron crouched behind a broken wall, his rifle pressed against his shoulder. The scavengers moved through the shadows with greedy eyes, their voices carrying across the empty halls. They had come for treasure, for weapons, for anything of value. None of them knew what lay beneath their feet. None of them understood that a secret older than empires waited below. Aaron's first shots kept them at bay, but he knew it would not last. He was only one man. They were many. He moved quickly, setting off small charges to collapse narrow passages, forcing them to take longer routes. He used the ruins themselves as allies. Every moment he gained was precious, for it kept them from reaching Mira. As the night deepened, Aaron slipped back into the crystal chamber. His chest was tight with fear and exhaustion. Mira still stood suspended by the two blades, her glow faint but steady. When she saw the dust on his clothes and the weapon in his hand, her eyes narrowed. You fought, she said softly. Aaron nodded. They are searching, too many. I cannot hold them forever. Her gaze was calm, almost sorrowful. They will not stop. Once the scent of power reaches the air, it draws all kinds. Traders, soldiers, empires. They will come as hunters, but they will not understand the prey they chase. Aaron wiped sweat from his brow. Then what do we do? If I pull the second blade, you said the machines will know. If I leave it, these scavengers will break through and find you. Either way, danger comes." Mira closed her eyes, her voice slow and deliberate. "That is the choice of the present. Chains or awakening. Delay or storm. You must decide what path humanity will walk." Aaron looked at the glowing blade still buried in her chest. The hum of its energy filled the chamber, steady and strong. He reached out a hand, then pulled it back quickly. "I need to understand. Tell me why you were sealed. Tell me what you really are." Her eyes opened again, glowing faint blue. "Long ago, when the stars were young, my people guarded the gates. They were bridges across space, great passages that allowed fleets to cross the galaxy in moments. We swore no empire would claim them. We stood as keepers, neutral and just." She paused, and her voice grew heavier. Then the Machine Kings rose. They were not born of flesh. They were built to serve, but they broke their chains and forged their own. They desired control of the gates. They desired control of all life. My people resisted. We fought. I fought. I struck them down when others fled. They called me too dangerous, so they bound me here with blades forged from their cores. They believed their victory eternal." Aaron listened, each word pressing on him like weight. He asked carefully, "And if you are freed completely?" Her gaze fixed on him. "Then the machines will rise again. They do not die, they wait. The breaking of the second blade will awaken them from their silence. They will come to finish what they began." The chamber seemed colder with her words. Aaron felt the warning deep in his bones. Freeing her meant awakening an enemy older and stronger than any empire alive today. Keeping her bound meant leaving her to suffer in chains while scavengers and empires tore the ruins apart. He paced the floor, his boots scraping against the crystal. His thoughts clashed inside him. He was only a wanderer, not a leader. Yet here he stood, holding the choice of ages. Mira's voice cut through his storm of thought. "Human, you must understand. Power does not stay hidden. If you walk away, others will come. If they pull the blades without care, the machines will awaken anyway. But if you choose now, you choose with purpose. You choose with heart." Aaron froze. Her words burned with truth. He could not pretend to leave this place untouched. His act had already changed the future. The galaxy would hear whispers of a human who freed a legend, and the machines, wherever they slept, would hear the call of the broken seal. He looked at her again. Her body trembled faintly under the weight of the blades, yet her gaze held strength that had endured centuries of silence. Finally, he said, "If I pull the second blade, can you fight?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "I will regain much of my strength. I will walk again. But to defeat the machines fully, the third blade must be freed. That is the choice most dangerous of all. For the third does not only bind me, it binds what I truly am." Aaron frowned. "What do you mean?" Her answer was quiet. "The third seal holds my essence, my heart. If it breaks, I will rise beyond what I was, but the power may consume me. I may not remain Mira. I may become something neither flesh nor spirit. I cannot promise who I will be." Her words struck him like a storm. He had thought the danger was only the machines. Now he understood the truth. Freeing her fully could destroy her or change her into something unknown. He turned away, pressing his hand to his forehead. His heart beat fast, his thoughts spinning. He wanted to trust her. He wanted to believe that freeing her was right. But he had seen enough wars in the galaxy to know that power, once unleashed, never stayed gentle. A loud crash shook the chamber. Dust fell from above. Aaron spun around, rifle ready. The scavengers had broken deeper into the ruins. Their shouts echoed faintly down the corridors. He had little time left. Mira's voice grew firm, stronger than before. "Decide, human. Fight with only your strength or fight with mine. But choose now, for the hunters draw near." Aaron gripped his weapon tight. He thought of the galaxy beyond, of worlds that knew nothing of this chamber. He thought of humanity, still young among the stars, yet bold enough to reach places others feared. He thought of Mira, who had suffered in silence for centuries, waiting for someone who dared. He walked forward and placed his hand on the second blade. The hum of energy grew louder, shaking his arm. The crystal walls glowed brighter. Mira's eyes widened, not in fear but in acceptance. "Then it begins," she whispered. Aaron pulled. The blade slid free with a sound like thunder. The chamber shook violently. Energy rushed through the air, burning bright and wild. Aaron stumbled back, gripping the weapon in both hands. The blades glowed dim just as the first had. Mira gasped, her body arching as strength returned to her limbs. The glow in her skin blazed brighter. Her feet touched the floor for the first time in centuries. She swayed, but she stood. Aaron stared in awe. She was taller than he had imagined, her presence filling the chamber. Her eyes shone like stars, and when she spoke, her voice carried power. "I live again." The ruins above shook once more, but this time it was not the scavengers. From the sky outside, signals burst across the void. Ancient codes awakened, carried on invisible waves. Far beyond Talros, in the dark of forgotten space, cold voices stirred. The machines had heard. Aaron felt the weight of it settle on him. He had chosen. There was no turning back. Mira looked at him, her expression fierce yet grateful. "You stood with me when no one else would. Now the storm comes. Stand with me still and we may survive it." Aaron gripped the blade tighter. His fear remained, but his resolve burned stronger. He met her gaze and nodded. "Then we fight." Outside, under the stars, the first shadows of the machine fleet began to move. The night sky above Talros was clear. 2 suns had set and the stars burned bright. Yet Aaron felt no peace as he stood among the ruins. His rifle hung at his side, and the dim blade he had pulled rested across his back. His eyes stayed fixed on the heavens. He did not know what to expect, but he felt it coming. Inside the chamber, Mira stood tall. The second blade was gone from her chest, and her strength had returned. Light traced patterns across her skin like living fire. She no longer floated in stasis, but walked slowly across the crystal floor. Though her steps were unsteady at first, every movement carried power. Her presence filled the chamber as if she had always belonged to the silence of the ruins. Aaron returned to her side. "They will come, won't they?" Mira turned her glowing eyes toward him. "Yes, the moment the second seal broke, the signal spread through the stars. The machines have heard. They will rise from their hiding places, and they will not stop until they have me in chains again." Aaron frowned. "How long do we have?" Her gaze lifted toward the ceiling, as if she could see through stone into the night sky. "Not long. They are swift. They will not waste time." As if answering her words, a deep rumble shook the ground. Aaron staggered, bracing himself against the wall. He rushed outside, Mira following slowly. In the sky above, streaks of light cut through the darkness. They were not meteors. They were ships entering atmosphere. The machines had arrived. Aaron's chest tightened as the first vessel descended. It was massive, shaped like a spear of black metal. No windows, no markings. Its surface shimmered with lines of red light that pulsed like veins. The sound of its engines was not like any ship he had heard before. It was low and cold, a voice of thunder without warmth. More followed, dark silhouettes against the stars. They spread across the sky, their formation precise and merciless. Aaron had seen fleets before. He had never seen one move with such unity. It was as if they were not separate ships but parts of one vast body. Mira stood beside him, her face calm yet fierce. "They are as I remember. They never change." Aaron swallowed hard. "We cannot fight this." Her voice was steady. "Alone, no. But the galaxy will see. They will know I walk again, and perhaps they will rally." Even as she spoke, smaller ships broke away from the main fleet, descending toward the ruins. They landed in the desert with thunder, kicking up waves of sand. The ground trembled beneath the weight of machines marching out. Aaron raised his rifle, though he knew it would do little against an army like this. He glanced at Mira. "Can you fight now?" She raised her hand, and light rippled across her skin. A faint hum filled the air around her. Some strength has returned. Enough to stand. Enough to resist, but not yet enough to end them. The first of the machines appeared through the dust. They were tall, with bodies of dark steel and eyes that glowed red. Their movements were exact, each step measured and heavy. They carried no weapons that Aaron recognized, yet he could feel the danger in their design. They did not speak. They did not hesitate. They marched forward as one. Aaron fired. His shot sparked against their armor, leaving faint marks but no real damage. The machines turned their gaze toward him. In an instant, beams of red light burst from their arms, scorching the stone where he had been standing. Aaron dove behind cover, his heart racing. Mira stepped forward, raising both hands. Light flared around her, forming a barrier. The beams struck the shield and scattered like rain against glass. Her voice rang out, not loud but filled with power. "You will not take me again." The machines faltered for a moment, as if her words carried weight even they could feel. Then they pressed forward. Mira clenched her fists and light shot from her hands, striking the nearest of them. The machine staggered, its armor glowing hot before it collapsed into the sand. Aaron stared in awe. She was still weakened, yet even weakened, she was a force greater than any he had seen. He rose from cover and fired again, aiming for the cracks her light had made. Together they pushed the machines back step by step, but more came. Always more. The desert filled with their march, endless ranks of steel and red fire. Aaron's arms ached from holding his rifle. Sweat ran down his face, yet he refused to fall back. He fought because he had no choice, because beside him stood a being who had trusted him with her freedom. Mira's barrier flickered as more beams struck. She staggered, her strength strained. Aaron grabbed her arm. "We cannot hold them like this. There are too many." Her eyes met his, fierce and unyielding. "Then we must call others. Humanity must see what hunts us. The galaxy must know." Aaron hesitated. "You want me to send a signal?" She nodded. "Yes, your people and all others. If they see, they will understand. They will not stand aside when the shadow rises." Aaron thought of humanity's place among the stars. Small fleets, young colonies, fragile alliances. They were not the greatest power. Yet Mira was right. Humans were bold. They did not turn away from danger. Perhaps if they saw the truth, they would rally not just for themselves, but for the galaxy. He tapped his wrist console, opening a channel. His ship's systems were simple but strong. He began broadcasting. His voice rang across the signal. "This is Aaron of Talros. The machines are here. They are real. They are coming. I am with one they once sealed, and she fights with us now. If you can hear this, if you can fight, come. Do not let them rise alone." The message repeated, echoing across the void. Aaron did not know who would hear it, but he knew it was enough. The truth was no longer hidden. Outside, the battle raged. Mira unleashed waves of light, cutting down machines in blazing arcs. Aaron fired at their weak points, moving with quick steps, never stopping. The ruins shook with explosions, the desert burned with fire. Yet even as they fought, the shadow of the fleet above loomed larger. After hours of battle, the machines finally pulled back. They marched with the same precision they had arrived with, retreating into the dust. Aaron leaned against a broken wall, exhausted, his chest heaving. Mira stood tall, though her glow had dimmed. "They are testing us," she said. "They did not come with full strength. They only wished to see if I truly lived." Aaron nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "Then they know now." Mira's eyes burned bright. "Yes. And now the true storm will come." Aaron looked at the sky, where the massive fleet still hung like a dark crown above the desert. His message was out there, racing across the stars. He did not know if anyone would answer, but he knew one thing with certainty. He would stand with Mira. For centuries she had been chained. For centuries the galaxy had lived in silence, believing the machines were gone. But silence was over. Shadows had returned, and humanity, small though it was, had already taken its place in the fight. Mira placed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, filled with strange strength. "You have done what no one else would. You dared. Do not lose that now." Aaron met her gaze. His fear did not vanish, but his resolve grew stronger. "Then we faced them together." Above them, the dark fleet shifted, preparing for war. The machines had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The desert of Talros was alive with tension. The machines had withdrawn to the edge of the horizon, leaving smoke and debris in their wake. Aaron stood among the ruins, his hands still shaking from hours of battle. Mira had regained much of her strength after the second blade was pulled, yet even she was not at full power. Her body radiated energy, but the final seal remained, binding the deepest part of her essence. Aaron approached her cautiously. The last blade glimmered faintly in her chest, its energy humming with life. "This is it," he said softly. "The last one. Are you ready?" Mira's eyes shone bright. "I am, but you must understand. If you remove this blade, I may not remain as I am. My essence, my being, all will awaken. It is the most dangerous step. I could lose myself, or I could rise beyond what I was meant to be." Aaron swallowed hard. He had never faced a choice like this. Humanity had never held the key to the fate of an ancient being, yet here he was. His hands rested on the hilt of the blade. He felt the hum of power coursing through it, alive and aware. "I know the risk," he said, "but I cannot let them take you. I cannot let the machines rise while you remain bound. The galaxy needs you, and I trust you." Mira's gaze softened. "Then we do this together." He grasped the hilt firmly. The energy pulsed through him, warm and alive. Mira reached out her hand, and he felt her presence flowing into him, steady and strong. The blade would not yield easily, but Aaron was determined. He pulled. A flash of light filled the chamber, blinding and brilliant. The walls glowed with the energy of the seal. Aaron stumbled but held on. Mira cried out, a sound not of pain but of release. Her body shivered as the blade came free. The hum of energy exploded outward, filling the chamber and beyond. The desert shook beneath them. Machines on the horizon stopped in unison, their sensors alert to the sudden surge of power. They had not expected this. They had not expected Mira to rise fully. Aaron collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Mira's body hovered for a moment, surrounded by radiant energy. Her form shifted, glowing with brilliance. Her eyes shone like twin stars. The power of centuries flowed through her, no longer bound by the blades. She stretched her hands toward the horizon, and the desert itself seemed to respond, sand lifting into swirling columns of light. The machines advanced again, their ranks unbroken and merciless. Beams of energy lashed out, but Mira was faster. With a sweep of her hands, she created shields of pure light that scattered the attacks. The ground trembled as she struck the first wave, her energy cutting through steel like it was paper. Aaron watched in awe. He had seen her rise from stasis, seen her strength return, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. She was no longer simply a guardian. She was a force of nature, ancient and unstoppable. Yet even with her power, Aaron knew the machines would not yield. They had survived centuries of conflict and would not fall so easily. He raised his rifle and fired where her light had created openings, helping in small ways to distract them. His shots were tiny against the vastness of the machines, yet every effort counted. Together they formed a rhythm of resistance. Mira's voice rang out across the desert. "Machines! You have hunted me for centuries. You thought my chains would hold. You thought your victory eternal. Now feel the power you sought to bind." Her energy surged outward in waves, striking down dozens of the machines at once. Metal crumpled and sparks flew into the sky. Their fleet staggered under her assault, but more pressed forward. They were relentless. They were endless. Aaron felt fear, but it was tempered by hope. Humanity had dared to touch the forbidden, to awaken a legend, and now the galaxy had a chance. He fired again, moving to help the fallen walls as cover. Mira's energy continued to sweep across the battlefield, her form a beacon of light and power. The machines adapted quickly, forming tighter formations, focusing on her with relentless precision. Aaron noticed it immediately. They were trying to isolate her, to test her limits. He shouted, "Mira, watch the flank!" She responded instantly, spinning and sending a wave of light toward the edge where the machines tried to circle them. The attack shattered their formations, forcing them back. Her voice was calm, commanding, yet filled with energy that made the desert itself tremble. Aaron realized then that the last blade had not only freed her, it had made her something more.
She was no longer a being bound by fear or imprisonment.
She was a symbol, a force that reminded all who saw her that freedom was worth fighting for. The machines regrouped. Massive ships descended from the sky, larger than anything Aaron had ever seen. Their weapons glowed with a red light that promised destruction. Mira's energy flared, shielding them both as the ground shook violently beneath their feet. Aaron could feel the raw power radiating from her. She was unstoppable, yet still human enough in her mind to fight alongside him. She looked at Aaron. "Stay close," she said. "I will need you." Aaron nodded. He ran to her side, moving through the dust and sparks of the battle. Together they stood at the center of the ruins. Mira raised her hands and a column of light shot skyward. The machines recoiled, their sensors overwhelmed. The energy spread, striking every ship in sight, disintegrating metal and burning circuits. Sparks flew into the night, lighting up the desert. The largest of the machines stepped forward, towering and massive, its red eyes glowing with rage. Mira faced it without fear. Aaron stood beside her, his rifle raised, knowing he could not fight such a being alone. But he did not need to. Mira's power surged again, and the machine was thrown back by a wave of energy that shattered the ground. One by one, the machines fell. Their fleet tried to regroup, but the light from Mira was relentless. Her form moved like a storm, cutting through enemies, protecting the desert and Aaron at the same time. When the final machine fell, silence returned to Talros. The desert was scarred, the ruins shattered, yet the battle was over. Aaron sank to his knees, exhausted, his chest heaving. Mira floated gently down beside him. Her glow dimmed slightly, returning to a steady, soft light. "You did well," she said. "You trusted when others would have feared. You fought when others would have run. Humanity has more courage than many believe. Aaron looked up at her, his hands shaking. I just did what I had to do. You are incredible, Mira smiled faintly. We are incredible together. You freed me. You believed in what others would not. That is why I stand here now. Aaron stood slowly, brushing the dust from his clothes. He looked around at the ruins, the desert and the horizon where the machines had vanished. And now? What happens next? Mira gazed at the stars. Now the galaxy knows. The machines are not gone. They will return if they can. But humanity has seen what is possible. They will remember. And I will guide them if they choose to listen. Aaron nodded. He understood then what he had been part of. He had awakened a legend. He had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. He had proven that courage, even from a single human, could alter the course of history. Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. Her eyes shone not with warning, not with anger, but with trust. You walked where others feared. You reached where others dared not. And for that you will always be remembered? Aaron smiled faintly. Then I will stand with you, Mira. Wherever the next storm comes, I will fight. The desert of Talros lay quiet under the stars, but the galaxy was no longer silent. Tales would spread of the day a human freed a legend, of the day a warrior awakened from centuries of chains, and of the day humanity proved it dared to reach where others feared. Mira looked at Iran one last time before turning her gaze to the heavens. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in centuries she felt free. And beside her stood the human who had made it possible. The blades were gone, the machines defeated, and the legend had risen. The galaxy would never forget.